137 The Gift of Love. Holy Thursday. Presence of God, O Jesus, grant that I may fathom the immensity of that love which led you to give us the Eucharist. Meditation. 1. Having loved his own, he loved them unto the end. John 13, 1-15. And in those last intimate hours spent in their midst, he wished to give them the greatest proof of his love. Those were hours of sweet intimacy, but also of most painful anguish. Judas had already set the price of the infamous sale. Peter was about to deny his master. All of them within a short time would abandon him. The institution of the Eucharist appears then as the answer of Jesus to the treachery of men, as the greatest gift of his infinite love in return for the blackest ingratitude. The merciful God would pursue his rebellious creatures, not with threats, but with the most delicate devices of his immense charity. Jesus had already done and suffered so much for sinful man, but now, at the moment when human malice is about to sound the lowest depths of the abyss, he exhausts the resources of his love, and offers himself to man, not only as the Redeemer, who will die for him on the cross, but also as the food which will nourish him. He will feed man with his own flesh and blood. Moreover, death might claim him in a few hours, but the Eucharist will perpetuate his real, living presence until the end of time. "O you who are mad about your creature!" exclaimed Saint Catherine of Siena, "true God and true man, you have left yourself wholly to us as food, so that we will not fall through weariness during our pilgrimage in this life, but will be fortified by you, celestial nourishment." Today's Masses, in a very special way, the commemoration and the renewal of the Last Supper, in which we are all invited to participate. Let us enter the church and gather close around the altar, as if going into the cenacle, to gather around Jesus. Here we find, as did the apostles at Jerusalem, the Master living in our midst, and he himself, through the person of his minister, will renew once again the great miracle which changes bread and wine into his body and blood. He will say to us, "Take and eat, take and drink." It was Jesus himself who made the arrangements for the Last Supper, choosing a large room Luke 22:12, and bidding the apostles to prepare it suitably. Our hearts, dilated and made spacious by love, must also be a large cenacle, where Jesus may come and worthily celebrate his Passion. 2. During the Last Supper and coincident with his gift of the sacrament of love, Jesus also left us his testament of love, the living, concrete testament of his admirable example of humility and charity, in the washing of the apostles' feet, and his oral testament, in the proclamation of his new commandment. The Gospel of today's Mass, John 13, 1-15, shows us Jesus as the Master, washing the apostles' feet. It ends with his words, "I have given you an example, that as I have done, you also may do." It is an urgent invitation to that fraternal charity which should be the fruit of union with Jesus, the fruit of our Eucharistic communion. He mentioned it in precise words at the Last Supper: "A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another, as I have loved you, that you also love one another." Ibid. 13:34. If we cannot imitate the love of Jesus by giving our body as food to our brethren, we can imitate him at least by giving them loving assistance, not only in agreeable circumstances, but also in difficult and disagreeable ones. By washing his disciples' feet, the Master shows us how far we should humble ourselves to render a service to our neighbor, even were he most lowly and abject. The Master, who, by unceasing proofs of his love, advances to meet ungrateful men, and even those who have betrayed him, teaches us that our charity is far from his, unless we repay evil with good, forgive everything, and are even willing to repay with kindness those who have done us harm. The Master, who gave his life for the salvation of his own, tells us that our love is incomplete if we cannot sacrifice ourselves generously for others. His new commandment, which makes the love of Jesus himself the measure of our fraternal love, opens up unlimited horizons for the exercise of charity, for it means charity without limits. If there is a limit, it is that of giving, like the Master, one's life for others, for greater love, and this no man hath, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ibid. 15:13. Jesus revealed to us the perfection of fraternal charity on the same evening that he instituted the Eucharist, as if to indicate that such perfection should be both the fruit of the sacrament, of the Eucharist, and our response to this great gift. Colloquy. O Lord, Lord, how small and narrow is the house of my soul for you to enter. Enlarge it yourself. It is in ruins, repair it. I know, and admit, that there are things in it that are offensive in your sight. But who will cleanse it? Or to whom but you shall I cry, purify me, Lord, from my hidden sins? St. Augustine. O good Jesus, to sustain our weakness, and to stir up our love, you have chosen to remain always in our midst, although you well foresaw the way that men would treat you, and the shame and outrages from which you would have to suffer. O eternal Father, how could you permit your Son to live with us, to endure fresh insults every day? O my God, what great love in that Son! And also, what great love in that Father! But how, eternal Father, couldst thou consent to this? How canst thou see thy Son every day in such wicked hands? How canst thy mercy, day by day, and every day, see him affronted? And how many affronts are being offered today to this most holy sacrament? How often must thou see him in the hands of his enemies? Eternal Father, surely all these scourgings and insults, and grievous tortures will not be forgotten, could it be that he failed to do something to please thee? No, he fulfilled everything. Has he not already more than sufficiently paid for the sin of Adam? O Holy Father who art in heaven, if thy divine Son has left nothing undone that he could do for us in granting sinners so great a favor as that of the blessed sacrament, do not permit him to be so ill-treated. Since thy Holy Son has given us this excellent way in which we can offer him up frequently as a sacrifice, let us make use of this precious gift so that it may stay the advance of such terrible evil and irreverence, as in many places is paid to this most holy sacrament. Compared to J. Way 33-3-35.